Dear Temur, thank you so much for your time and for such short notice. Thanks to my Azerbaijan connections that you are with us, and you're talking with Forbes in Georgia, and you're representing Neqsol Holding as a head of strategy. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I would like to thank you for such a great opportunity. I mean, it's always a pleasure to talk to Forbes Georgia.
Thank you so much. My first question is that everybody is waiting for the who owns Caucasus Online in Georgia? Is Neqsol Holding those and you are guys? You're representing the holding which owns Caucasus Online in Georgia?
Yes, but like first of all, it's necessary to mention that legally, the owner of Caucasus Online hasn't changed since 2016.
Which means that it's under ownership of
offshore
company. Offshore company.
Yeah, that's an offshore company called Nelgado. And
Nelgado?
Nelgado, yeah. And in 2019, Neqsol Holding acquired 49% of the shares of that company.
It's happened in 2019, which means that Neqsol Holding is the current status is that you own just 49%. Am I right?
Yes, we own 49%, and we have a call option for remaining 51%.
Yeah. Okay. Which means that the remaining 51% is under the previous ownership.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Could you be more specific about Neqsol Holding itself, because it's like a top priority question here in Georgia, who you guys are and who owns this holding, what this holding is doing. You are representing strategic direction and department of Neqsol Holding, but what is holding doing itself? I know that it's in various directions, and under whose direct and or indirect ownership Neqsol Holding is.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Temur Taghiyev, and I'm a current head of strategy for Neqsol Holding. Neqsol Holding is an international diversified group of companies based in Azerbaijan with operations in telecom sector, in oil and gas, in industry and construction and investments. And currently we work in USA, United Kingdom, UAE, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Kazakhstan, so across the globe, let's put it that way. We have over 13,000 employees and an annual turnover exceeding $1.5 billion and more than 25 million of customers, like if you consider all our markets. If we're talking about telecom, our recent acquisition was Vodafone Ukraine, one of the largest mobile operators in Ukraine. In energy sector, we own several group of companies, including successful joint ventures with international operators such as KCA Deutag, SOCAR, and we have drilling operations in Northern Sea, in USA, Texas, in Caspian Basin, in Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan. So we're kind of large holding company, which is 100% owned by Mr. Nasib Hassanov, an Azerbaijani businessman and philanthropist. And
Mr.
he's
Nassim
the owner and shareholder of the company.
So he's the sole owner of the company,
yes,
correct?
Mr. Hassanov is the sole owner and shareholder of the holding.
Okay. Temur, could we be more specific? You mentioned various directions, investments in various countries around the globe. And where is Georgia? It's only just 49% of Caucasus Online, or you guys are more active here in other directions, or it's your only remaining investment?
We have always considered Georgia as a kind of attractive market for our investments. And we're considering several potential opportunities in various sectors of the economy. But as of now, Caucasus Online is our own acquisition in telecom sector. But we have a huge investment program for Georgia because we know that Caucasus Online itself needs substantial investments, because we have always considered Caucasus Online a part of the bigger project, which is digital Silk Road. And we can discuss it a bit later.
Yeah, digital Silk Way is maybe the main topic why I asked through my Azerbaijan contacts to contact you, and thank you again for this opportunity. And we will definitely speak about digital Silkway. I'm a bit concerned that such projects gonna be like first time interviewed from Forbes. Maybe it's a different story, but let's speak about it later on. Regarding Caucasus Online itself, while the acquisition of the 49%, it means that you already have some sort of investment plan and some sort of program for the next period, how it should be done and provided, I mean, investment plan and things like that. What kind of program do you provide for Caucasus Online?
Well, first of all, we understand that in order to make Caucasus Online a part of our bigger project, substantial investment should be made in the existing infrastructure of Caucasus Online. Because as you might know, both Black Sea fiber optic cable and existing terrestrial infrastructure in Georgia has certain capacity. So if we're talking about bigger volumes, we need to make substantial investments in the infrastructure. Plus, it's absolutely necessary to build a modern data center, which is completely missing in Georgia. As you might know, as of now, there is no Tier 3 data center in Georgia. And we're planning to build at least Tier 3 or ideally Tier 4 data center in Georgia and internet exchange point. In this case, it will allow us to really turn Georgia into a digital hub, like providing digital services to the region, to the whole region. Like we're talking about Caucasus and Central Asia.
Temur, you are more than familiar about Caucasus Online while the acquisition process itself, but at the same time, Caucasus Online is a very important infrastructure for Georgia. You are very well aware that this company holds various strategic directions here, and maybe that's the reason why the deal what has been done through the acquisition was quite problematic for local authorities and regulator. We will speak about GNC later on. Are we talking about additional technologies, what you have mentioned, what should be done through the investment plan? And can we talk about some amount of the total investment plan, what you with your partners plan to invest in Caucasus Online infrastructure, what you just mentioned? Is it already calculated and done through the years? What's going to be the investment plan itself?
We have done some preliminary estimations, and as of now, the investment program of Neqsol Holding related to the implementation of digital Silkway project exceeds 200 million USD.
It's 200 million USD,
yes,
am I right?
Yes, yes, absolutely right. But that covers Georgia plus investments in the infrastructure in Caspian Sea and Kazakhstan and some upgrades in Azerbaijan as well. But if we're talking about the Georgia, it's, I mean, we're sure that this investment will be more than $60 million. We need to do a complete feasibility study for data center, Tier 4 data center in Georgia. Plus, there will be some upgrades to the Black Sea cable itself.
Okay,
so
while you mentioned
that the investment will range from $50 to $100 million.
50 to 100 million. Okay, we mentioned various times, and while moving to Caucasus Online with its current local problems here with authorities, I really want to ask about the digital Silkway project itself. My first question is, are local authorities aware about the project itself? My question is about the digital Silkway. What I do have as a presentation personally from you, and now our viewers can see some details of this project, which is done and prepared by Neqsol Holding. Are local authorities aware about your plans in this regards, digital Silkway?
I think that the Georgian government has been aware of the project, like in overall details, because the representative of Holding has discussed the idea with the former Prime Minister of Georgia, Mr. Mamuka Bakhtadze, and also there were numerous international presentations of the project, including the latest presentation in Davos. So I believe that they're aware of the general idea of the project, but they can miss some details. But again, I'm sure that the overall idea has been well communicated.
Can we consider that acquisition of the 49% while the period of when Mr. Bakhtadze was a prime minister of Georgia, Georgian government was fully in charge, including Communication Commission, GNC, in regards that you were acquiring 49% of Caucasus Online?
I know that the Georgian government that you have mentioned, which is kind of the past government, was
previous prime minister. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They were aware of our plans to acquire the company, as they've been aware of the bigger picture, like the bigger project, which is Digital Silkway.
What's a Digital Silkway, and what is the idea of Digital Silkway, Temur? Could you brief us a bit?
Yeah, Digital Silkway is a kind of ambitious idea that was developed in Neqsol Holding in 2018 with support of some international consultants. And the idea is like to create a new digital transit infrastructure connecting Europe to Central Asia and then to China.
Temur, it's an idea or it's already a project?
It's a project. I mean, in 2018, it was an idea. And we turned that into a project by the end of 2018. I will talk about some challenges related to the project as well. But again, the initial idea was like to connect Europe to Asia, like to China, using the following route, like Europe, Bulgaria, Black Sea, Georgia, Azerbaijan, then subsea cable in the Caspian Sea, Kazakhstan, and China. And also there's a kind of alternative route going from Azerbaijan to Turkmenistan and then in the direction of India, Afghanistan, and so on. That was an initial idea. At the end of 2018, we managed to turn that into a regional project with some of our international partners, because as you might imagine, the key challenge was the unclear status of the Caspian Sea, I mean, for a long time. But since approval of the Caspian Convention, now it's possible to build or lay cables, subsea cables in the Caspian Sea. And as a historic achievement, we can mention two intergovernment agreements signed respectively between the government of Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan and the government of Turkmenistan and the government of Azerbaijan.
So I'm sorry, it's signed and official?
It's signed and ratified by parliaments in both Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan respectively. So now we have full legal rights to lay subsea cable in the Caspian Sea. Furthermore, if we're talking about Kazakhstan route, right now the project is in active implementation phase. We have completed technical feasibility study, and now we're like basically planning to start construction in 2021.
Temur, maybe you are not the right person to answer on this question, but I will do my best because I'm really interested. Anything related to the Silk Road projects within my country, it always goes beyond the highest position. And authorities and at least local society is not just always aware about the details of mega ideas or already mega project as Silk, anything related to the Silk Road or Digital Silkway project is why local society, local business community is not aware about the details of this project. What's your personal point of view?
It's a good question, but I believe that there might be some miscommunication in the past. But we know that the idea was well conveyed and presented at various international events, like in Davos, in China. And there are like numerous international documents signed on that project. So I believe that there was a kind of lack of attention. So actually, therefore, we're now talking to bring more light to that project. But we believe that this project can be compared, like by the potential impact, it can be compared to Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline. Because we're talking about large international projects that can bring substantial investments to both Georgia and Azerbaijan, and actually turn our countries into the regional digital hub, providing services to billions of customers in Central Asia and like even China.
That's maybe that was the bottom line of my question, because projects like this are not happening in a way. Do you consider, just to move to the main topics, that some sort of divert from the previous prime minister to the current government what was not done in a proper way? At least we have the same government itself. We've changed the prime minister. Maybe there is some problem of the miscommunication while it was not, diverted in a proper way, because what we see and what we go through, there is a real problematic situation with GNCC and other authorities, and they are, I mean, preparing some special amendments, which is totally related to Caucasus Online. What's your personal point of view?
Well, you're absolutely right. I would agree with you that most probably there was a kind of internal miscommunication during the transfer of position, and that might cause some misunderstanding in the Georgian government itself. Because we have never tried to hide our intent to build the digital silkway, we've been always talking about that since 2018, and we have clear plans to implement that project that can bring a brighter digital future for both Azerbaijan and Georgia.
Temur, the problem which is fixed and which is absolutely openly motivated and supported as a question and requirement from GNCC, which is a top regulator body, you are very well aware, in regards of communication direction in Georgia. Why it was so problematic to provide the same information what you just provided personally to me? I mean, the ownership of Neqsol Holding, acquirement details, and things like that. Why this miscommunication or, I mean, problematic relations has been raised through these business relations?
Well, it's very difficult to answer that question. We know that the previous Georgian government was informed about our plans and was aware about our strategy for the digital silkway. We have been always trying to be transparent, and as soon as we got the first inquiry from GNCC, we immediately provided them with relevant information about the shareholders of the company. So proving that we're really transparent and willing to share any information. So again, I believe that there might be some sort of misunderstanding or miscommunication that caused all these greater troubles between us and GNCC.
GNCC, together with the government, I think this miscommunication goes too far. You are very well aware about the amendments, especially initiated by the government, which is, as I mentioned, totally related to Caucasus Online. You are very well aware that these amendments are not welcomed by the industry itself. They see a lot of risks and things like that. But how one of the shareholder of Caucasus Online, as an Neqsol Holding, reacts on these amendments, and what is the current status quo of your relations with GNCC? Do you still have relations? Do you guys, I don't know, negotiate, or is there existing communication right now?
It's hard to comment on that because as of now, we cannot say that there's a kind of clear communication with GNCC. We hope that we'll be able to reestablish a normal dialogue with GNCC to find an amicable solution that will help both us and Georgian government to resolve the situation. Because once again, we believe that our investment program and acquisition of Caucasus Online serves much bigger purpose, and that can basically really bring our countries to the next level in digitalization. So therefore, I mean, talking about the law, I think that the attitude, our attitude towards that law can be well displayed by the attitude of the Georgian society and all major telecom players in Georgia. So basically, it was a kind of unified approach of all telecom players against that law, because it's not this law is not only targeted against Caucasus Online, but we believe that adoption of that law will strongly undermine the future perspective of Georgia as a destination of choice for major international investors. So, and that has been reflected in the joint statement of all telecom operators, and I believe it was also well supported by wider Georgian business community.
No, while in the process of preparation of this interview, I noticed some details in regards of dispute with yourself, I mean the company itself, and GNCC, that some decisions which are taken by GNCC might go beyond, I mean, international courts, and it might be like disputed within the international court or arbitration. Do you still consider such an opportunity as a part of your future relations with local authorities?
Well, everyone knows that international arbitration is a kind of last resort. So, we've officially informed, our legal advisors have officially informed Georgian government about our plans to go to international arbitration if we cannot find an applicable solution. So again, we're always open for the dialogue, would be ready to consider all possible options that will help us to resolve that situation. But regarding support from both GNCC and the Georgian government, the only resort that we have is international arbitration. So if we can't find any other solution, there will be no other alternative and just to go to the international arbitration.
One more question, Temur. Is it a part of like a true story that there was some preliminary agreement and also verbal confirmation? I'm not talking about the former prime minister. I'm talking about the acting head of GNCC, Mr. Bekauri, that there was some sort of verbal agreement between partners of Caucasus Online and himself about the acquisition of the shares of Caucasus Online.
I believe there was some communication between the previous owner of Caucasus Online and GNCC, but I can't comment on that.
Okay.
But again, the thing that I would like to emphasize is that we know that prior to making that deal, you may imagine that such a big holding as Neqsol Holding would consider associated risks. And therefore, we really believe that the Georgian government was like totally aware. I mean, that Georgian government was totally aware of our plans.
For your plans and about the acquisition itself.
Exactly. So therefore, we have been kind of surprised by such a hostile reaction of GNCC. Because like the latest action of GNCC more like display kind of hostile takeover attempt of the company.
And my final question in this regard is, you mentioned about the previous owner, but previous owner is still a partner. Am I right? Within the Caucasus Online. No. Okay. So Temur, I'm talking about the technologies itself. Caucasus Online also transmits internet as a very important company for Georgian infrastructure to Iran and Armenia. Is it a part of the vision of Neqsol Holding due to the digital Silkway, or it's also going to be, diversified, or we will have additional markets? What's going to be the benefits for Georgia being a part of it and being a part of this project?
I believe that implementation of digital Silkway opens incredible opportunities for Georgia, because we should understand that the existing market position of Caucasus Online is like already predefined. So in order to grow, we need to open new markets and we need to increase the capacity of the existing infrastructure. So therefore, we believe that while making this incredible connection between Europe to Asia, like first of all, we will increase the number of users of internet. So we will increase the traffic going through Georgia. And in fact, like increased volumes of traffic will even help to decrease internet prices in Georgia and the region in general. Furthermore, if we're talking about existing clients of Caucasus Online, on behalf of the holding, we would like to ensure that Caucasus Online will and always provide high quality services to all of its existing clients. Like the high quality and sustainability of services is a priority for us.
Are we talking about the potential through the digital Silkway project of the 5G technology? What's the status of 5G technology in Azerbaijan or in other companies under your holding? And do we have a potential for Georgia for it? Is it a space for 5G already?
I wouldn't draw an absolute parallel between 5G and implementation of digital Silkway.
It's a different approach.
Yeah, well, the fact is that digital Silkway is a much bigger project, which consists of three major parts. Like the first part is establishment of reliable infrastructure. And now that's what we're trying to make by acquisition of Caucasus Online, by building subsea cable in the Caspian Sea, by upgrading infrastructure in Georgia, in Azerbaijan, and in Kazakhstan. So basically, we're creating reliable international data transit infrastructure. But that's only a kind of foundation for the future digital, regional digital project. So because the second phase would be to establish a data center meeting international requirements, like tier 3 or tier 4 data center, internet exchange point. In this case, it will definitely increase the traffic and bring all major international hyperscalers to Georgia, because in this case, kind of data centers infrastructure. And the third phase would be building a true digital ecosystem, which consists of many elements. And here we can talk about implementation of 5G or other technologies, fintech solutions, digital healthcare, digital education. Like, you know, it's going to be a kind of new add-on products, like value-added products that will be based on the existing infrastructure.
Temur, so we can sum up right now, and based on the experience what we have last 20 minutes at least, can you confirm that such accountability and transparency due to this project and other existing or future plans of Neqsol Holdings is going to be in the same transparent way as you responded on Forbes Georgia's questions?
Absolutely. We're absolutely open for any questions from Forbes Georgia or from any other media agency in Georgia, because Neqsol Holding has always tried to be a transparent company, which is ready to share information and its plans. And we still believe that if we find a solution to the existing problems, we're going to make a regional project, like really impacting the future of Georgia and Azerbaijan. And again, by the impact on our economies, it can be compared only with Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan project. So it's very important to understand that.
This was Temur Taghiyev. He's the head of strategy of Neqsol Holding, which owns 49% of the Caucasus Online. Thank you so much for being with us and for such interesting interview.